the latest information on the fire. We encourage you, as you're viewing, to type questions into the chat, and our experts, after they get done with their presentation, will answer some of those questions. But first, we're going to bring you the latest numbers. The fire remains at 6,625 acres and is now 88% contained. We still have 1,510 personnel assigned to the fire. We're going to bring up our speakers in order. We'll have somebody from operations, we'll have an incident meteorologist, we'll have a San Diego unit public information officer, and we'll finish with our incident commander. First up, Patrick Walker, Fire Operations.
Good evening, Patrick Walker, Operations Chief on the Border 2 incident. For those just joining us today, just some background on myself. I am the local battalion chief that is responsible for this area, and I'm also a community member. I reside in the scenic country county community of Hamul. So if I look through this is our fire map right here, shows the perimeter. If we start on the north side along Otay Lakes Road, our folks have been out there day and night, clean that up. We have a lot of great containment out there, and we're going to continue to move that forward and monitor it throughout the night. As we go into the east side, up Otay Mountain and Doghouse Junction, same thing. A lot more arduous terrain. Our folks have been in there working hard. Again, we are able to fly over it, myself and my operations partner today in a helicopter. Took a good look in that, saw our folks working deep in there and clean that up and getting a good containment up to Doghouse Junction and beyond. As we go to the south side, which on this map shows Division C or Division A, same thing, we're holding that along there. A lot of handline construction's been done in there. That's with the crews of about 20 men and women each. Several are out there, and we got that around. Coming down into Hotel, or the west side of the fire, which goes towards the city of Chula Vista and then south towards East Otay Mesa and the R.J. Donovan facility down there, the detention facility. A lot of good containment, a lot of hard work's been done down there, and we're feeling quite confident that this fire is going to stay where it's at, but we're going to continue to be out there working to ensure it stays as such.
Next up, Incident Meteorologist Mark Leffelbein.
Well, good evening. We do have that low pressure still affecting us. That's continuing to make its way to the east. Behind that, not much besides cloud cover. I'm still keeping a small chance of some rain in the forecast, but I think if we get any rain out of this, it's mainly just going to raise the relative humidity. It's not necessarily going to put much rain on the ground. Humidity is important, though, when we talk about fire. The higher humidity is, that can be absorbed by the fuels, makes them less receptive to fire, so that's a good thing. And we've had high humidity for the past few days. It'll start to lower, but it's not going to get that low over the next few days. So for tomorrow, our temperatures will be around the 50 to 60 degree range over the fire, and those humidities will drop down to around 60% for a low in the afternoon. And we'll start to see that progression continue. We're going to get warmer and a little bit drier as we head into the weekend. As a matter of fact, highs in the 70s over the weekend near the fire, which is just a little bit above average for this time of year. But that humidity will be affected by the onshore flow that's going to continue to bring in that higher humidity from the ocean. And we are going to be seeing about a 30% minimum for those RHs, or relative humidity. And that's just not that low. That's actually quite high for this time of year in this location. So again, a little bit of a warming trend as we go into the weekend. I don't see any big wind events coming. I don't see precipitation events coming either in the next 7 to 10 days. Might hear about an atmospheric river coming. That's for Northern California, parts of Oregon, Washington. Not going to make its way this far south. Thank you.
Next up, San Diego Unit Public Information Officer Robert Johnson.
Good evening, Robert Johnson, local San Diego Unit Public Information Officer. Over the past couple of days, we've received multiple inquiries about the cause of the fire and what goes into a fire investigation that may make it last longer than other investigations. What I can tell you about this investigation is it is under investigation. CAL FIRE investigators are assigned to it. Now, I cannot speak specifically to the specifics of this investigation as it is under investigation, and I do not have those details. Those details are only going to be with the investigation team. But I can give a brief overview of what tends to go into wildland fire investigations and why sometimes they may take longer than others. There's various factors that go into a wildland fire investigation, but when investigators respond to a fire and they're going to start investigating that, they're going to take an overall fire area, which is the complete size of that fire. They're going to utilize fire pattern indicators, which as fire progresses through a certain area, it's going to leave evidence, fire pattern indicators on trees, bushes, rocks, the grass, and that's going to paint a picture to the investigators of the direction of travel the fire came from. They're going to take that overall fire area, and they're going to use those indicators to get the area down to a smaller area, which they're going to then identify as a general origin area. A general origin area is an area that they determined is a smaller fire or a smaller portion of the fire, and they're going to start thoroughly processing that area. They're going to enter into that general origin area and follow a systematic process through the training that they've received as an investigator to make that now general origin area into a smaller origin area called the specific origin area. The intent in that specific origin area is to find a smaller zone inside of that, which is going to be called the ignition area. So this process, depending on the size of the overall fire area, to get that down to a smaller area, the specific origin area, and then into an ignition area, can take a long time to process. There's other factors that fit into that processing that could be the area. Is the area easily accessible for investigators? Are they able to get all the tools they need to complete this investigation to an area that's nearby so that they don't have to hike that equipment in or make multiple trips to their vehicle to get that equipment? So anything that's an extended away, if they get their location of their general origin area that's a distance away from their vehicles, that's going to prolong that as well. Now, throughout that process, as they're processing that general and specific origin area, they're going to look for items of evidence that may be there. They're going to collect any of that, maybe photograph that. And then within that specific origin area, they tend to set up a grid. Now, that grid requires special processing in itself that can last hours, days, multiple days in itself. So processing a fire, there is no one size fits all answer to the speed of a fire investigation. And even once they're completed on scene, there may be follow-up as part of that investigation that occurs off-site, not necessarily in that general origin area, specific origin area of the fire, but that might be conducting interviews as well as following up on any video surveillance. So there is a lot that goes into these investigations. Some investigations may only take a day, some may take a week into months. There's investigations that take over a year. So like I said, there is no one size fits all answer to when an investigation may be completed, but this is a question that has been brought up multiple times. So I hope this paints a picture of what goes into an investigation, just a broad overview, so that viewers may understand that sometimes it can be a lengthy process. Thank you.
Next up, Unified Incident Commander Rick Johnson.
Good evening, everybody. Rick Johnson, one of the incident commanders for the Border 2 incident. So first and foremost, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Well, we've made some really good progress here in the last couple of days. Over 2,000 firefighters have been suppressing this fire. Now we're into the suppression repair mode right now. So we're making some good progress there right now. I just want to thank all of you for adhering to the warnings, being prepared, being vigilant. We repopulated the whole area. With that being said, though, there is going to be a lot of fire apparatuses driving in the area, so please watch your speeds and drive careful. There was no structures destroyed or damaged on the incident. And
Okay, we're going to bring our speakers back up if there are any questions that they have to answer. Once again, this will be your chance to continue asking questions in the chat. So if you have any final questions in the last few minutes of our final community meeting, now is the time to ask. And so we're going to bring up Fire Operations Patrick Walker.
All right, good evening once again. So got a series of questions here, and I'm going to do my best to answer them. So question number one, why did it take so long for aircraft to get on scene? Well, the aircraft, fortunately, were the first firefighters on scene in the sky. They came out of the remote air attack base. Myself and a fire engine were the second firefighters on scene. It took them anywhere from 12 to 15 minutes to get there, and their first priority was to protect the Otay Mountain repeater and the infrastructure up there that is critical to law enforcement, fire, public safety throughout not only San Diego but Southern California. So it didn't take long for those aircraft to get there, and they increased the amount of aircraft that were there immediately. The air boss, per se, who oversees it, what we call Air Tactical Group Supervisor, increased the amount of aircraft after discussion with myself, the incident commander, and doubled that aircraft with large air tankers, additional helicopters to continue to try to work in that fire, get it anchored, and move on. So just to be clear on that, because I've seen this question before, it didn't take long. It's just the flight time from startup to the flight down from Ramona. We have our efficient S2s that go up there with the turboprops that get down there quite rapidly. Another aircraft question was, did aircraft work at night? Yes, they absolutely did work at night. We had multiple aircraft, including the Cal Fire Firehawks that came throughout the state that were moved down to assist there. San Diego Fire Rescue's Firehawk was out there, and multiple other aircraft, including a aerial coordinator at night, overnight, dropping on the fire, supporting the firefighters, getting containment, and keeping it out of Pio Pico and other communities. They are an integral part of our operation and an integral part of the success. Were there any injuries is the next question. Yes, there were two, thankfully, minor injuries. Now, they're from firefighters on the line. The first injury occurred yesterday, and what we had to do is utilize the Cal Fire County Fire, San Diego Sheriff's helicopter, the hoist rescue helicopter, sends a firefighter paramedic out on that line. You've probably seen it on TV. Captures, or first of all, assesses that patient to see what their injuries are. They can stabilize them, provide any advanced life support intervention if needed. And once they're packaged up, they winch them up into the aircraft, and for that patient, they flew them down to an awaiting ambulance. The second injury was able to walk out. That was today's minor injury, treated, and both released. And I'm happy to say that they are back to full duty. Did any firefighters come from out of state? Yes, hundreds of firefighters came from out of state. They were mobilized throughout Southern California. A lot of those firefighters were at a mobilization center in Riverside County. Several came off the fires in Los Angeles and then were redirected down here. Again, they're another integral part of our operation. Last question that I have for now is, what is an incident command team and why do we need one for the incident? That is a very good question. So we need to ensure we have continuity operations. And what I mean is, when that fire started, we launched basically half of all Cal Fire San Diego County fire resources to that incident. We need to backfill. We need to be able to respond to additional 911 calls, new fires, etc. So what we do in managing that as it expands, like Chief says, over 2,000 people here, well, all the employees total for Cal Fire San Diego County Fire is about 1,100. So that's twice the staff we have. So you need folks to help manage that. You need an incident commander to provide the overall direction and responsibility of what's going on. That comes with the team. These Cal Fire Incident Command teams, because there's other ones throughout the state and the country, they're interagency. There's 6 of them statewide. Multiple were deployed already in Los Angeles. One was on standby. They came straight down here. So that comes with the whole team, about 50 to 70 folks. You have the incident commander, like I said, operations section chiefs, multiple folks out in the field handling the ground. You have the plans folks. They develop these maps They work with us. They gather intelligence, and then those maps are printed. They set up the base camp. You have logistics. Probably the most important part of the command team is logistics. They're providing the food, hose, bathrooms, everything that we're going to need out there for those 24-hour shifts and beyond. And then there's the other component of finance. So there's a cost to all this, and it's got to be tracked. We got to ensure that we are responsibly spending your money. So we're out there doing that with finance. Like I said, that team's about 70 to 90 folks. There's multiple meetings throughout the day, gathering intelligence. We have public information folks who host these meetings to help coordinate that and bring out that information to you for that. And why do we need them for the incident? Well, for one incident, it goes back to what I said. We have to continue to provide service here for CAL FIRE, San Diego County Fire, or wherever the fire department is in the state while we do that. And during this fire, one thing I can say is after the initial response, we were able to backfill every CAL FIRE, San Diego County Fire, and I believe our cooperators as well. All those fire stations had firefighters in there 24/7, day and night. We were out there. Our days off come few and far between when this happens, but that's something we've signed up for, and we take it on the chin willingly. Same for those firefighters backfilling us. So if you look at the command team, there's 50 to 70 folks. Well, there's 50 to 70 folks that are working back where they're assigned, doing their job while they're down here, and that just continues to grow exponentially. So we need an incident command team to help us manage the incident and to allow for continuity operations. Thank you.
And once again, Unified Incident Commander Rick Johnson.
Thank you. So we're going to dovetail into a question that Chief Walker was talking about, incident command team, as well as why is the command post at the stadium? Well, Chief Walker articulated a lot about the size of the team, as well as having over 2,000 people assigned to this incident. That's including fire dozers, fire engines, hand crews, and a number of support vehicles, trailers, you name it, to be able to support the functional thing. So we needed a place. We had inclement weather coming in, or we had some rain coming in, so we could not utilize an area that just had a field. So we had to use an area that was large enough for the command post, as well as it being asphalt, so we didn't have any vehicles get stuck on there. Another one was how many crews were assigned to the incident. At peak, we had over 80 hand crews assigned to it. So that could include the CAL FIRE, Firefighter 1 hand crews, to California Conservation Crew, to California Military Department, and federal hotshots. Another good question is, do firefighters get sleep when on the fire? They don't. They're working for over 24 hours, and then they're off for 24 hours. So it's basically a 2-shift pattern. So they'll be working for 24 hours, and then they'll be off for 24 hours. And then the next question dovetails into that. Do firefighters get meals when on the fire line? So they get a breakfast in the morning, a hot meal in the morning, and then from there they get a sack lunch that will last them for 24 hours. Now the question is, how did the rain help put the fire out? Well, it definitely helps. Remember when this fire originated, it was a offshore wind event where your humidities, the moisture measured in the air was around 5%, single digits. Well, when the rain, and then with the rain coming in, that actually, one, transfers the offshore winds to an onshore wind. So the winds are coming from the west to the east, and they have humidity with them. So that's more moisture in the air. And then we also had precipitation. So from going from a really dry, hot air to a more moist air coming through, that actually was able to help the aides with the firefighting.
Thank you, Chief. Question here that I'm going to answer on behalf of our law enforcement folks, but it is at the request of the operations folks, the firefighters out on the ground, is when will Otay Lakes Road be open? I would anticipate Otay Lakes Road to be fully open in the next 24 to 48 hours. It's currently closed right at Skydive San Diego on the County of San Diego side to West Day Road in the city of Chula Vista. The next question was how much of the fire is still burning? Not much. Our firefighters are out there. You see on here, there's the red line around there, and that shows the uncontrolled fire line. But we have firefighters out there literally on their hands and knees feeling for heat to ensure it is out there. So there's a very minimal amount. It's not burning. There's no free burning. You're not seeing flame. You're not seeing smoke. We're finding steam, turning over rocks, whatever we can. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for your engagement in this virtual community meeting. That will conclude our time for tonight. And once again, this will be the final virtual community meeting for the Border 2 fire. Thank you very much.